Hello, everyone. Welcome on in. It is Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. We are previewing the final 1,000 event of the year on the ATP Tour. And it's in Paris this week. And Sean Calvert, my co-host, I'll introduce you to shortly, will be in attendance. You can follow him and our socials at Because We Win. Please hit the subscribe button. Lots of you have joined us up. And there's only a few weeks to go in the season. So hopefully you can join us for the finals of the tennis season. And obviously in the conclusion of the football season as well, which haven't even hit the midway point yet. So please hit the subscribe button. Join us here on the fastest growing sports betting YouTube channel. Good afternoon or evening. Sean, how are you? All right, mate?
Is it evening already?
It's evening.
It is, yeah. I'm a little bit discombobulated today. There's been a lot going on. Kids' parties. This new dog is causing absolute chaos. Obviously trying to wait for odds and then, hanging around for odds and then trying to fit the slot in for the show and all the rest of it. And yeah, it's absolute chaos today. But I think I'm just about ready to do the show now. Yeah, you
just
right?
Think this time tomorrow, you'll be having a few snails, glass of Chablis, or a nice bit of Bordeaux Red, whatever you want, and you'll be away from the dog pooing all over the house and the kids going mad. You'll be sitting there on the Arc de Triomphe, Champs-Elysees.
You think that's what I'm going to be doing?
No, I think you'll have a Magnus at an Irish bar somewhere. That's what I think you'll be doing.
I think you're right. I think I probably will. I'm staying literally, I think it's about 48-second walk from my hotel to the La Défense Arena, I think. So if there's any decent Irish bars around there, I'm sure I'll find them out. A glass of Chablis, or that's not me, I don't think.
Oh, nice glass of Chablis, lovely. Anyway, it is the final 1,000, and it is in Paris. Obviously, a new venue this year, so We don't know what the conditions are going to be like, but I'm sure it'll be pretty same. What's the rundown? What have we got for us? What's the stats and all the trends that we need to know about this tournament?
Well, we can do the trends because of where it is in the calendar, but obviously statistics in terms of court speeds and stuff, it's absolute guesswork. There's obviously been a few matches in qualies today. I haven't managed to see any of them yet, but I've looked at a few stats. I mean, some of the big servers in there. I mean, Quentin Halys, I think, won about 74% first serve points. That's kind of on the low side. But until I've actually seen it, it's a little bit guesswork because, as you said, it was in that what they used to call the Palais Omnisports. I can't remember what it's called now. What do they call it these days? It was changed to something, wasn't it? It was the Palais Omnisports back in the day, and then they moved it to something else. And anyway,
the Bergs Arena, wasn't it? The Bergs
like
Arena.
I don't know. I think it was Accor Arenas, wasn't it? The Accor Arena.
That's it. Accor Arena. Yes, it.
Anyway, that's now gone. It's still standing, I'm sure. But the La Défense Arena, which is a massive venue, I think it's the second biggest number of seats on a court. I think outside of the US Open. I think 17,000 seater, the main court. And the three, what you call outside courts, two of them are 4,000 seaters. So it's going to be a totally different atmosphere to what it's been in previous years when it's been in that lower dungeon. You can get about maybe like 50 people at the most on one of those courts. These are going to be 4,000 each. So it's unknown conditions. We don't know what the court speed's going to be like. We never do anyway when it comes to Bercy. I've got to stop calling it Bercy now, haven't I? When it comes to the Paris Masters, because at one stage it went really slow. It used to be lightning quick back in the day. Last year, they surprisingly made it really fast. It was a 46 CPI last year. You would think, given that their best players are the likes of Humbert, Mpetshi, Perricard, these sort of guys, that you would think they'd make it quicker for them. But tennis doesn't always work like that, does it? The other side of the coin is money. And they probably want bums on seats for Alcaraz Sinner, is what I imagine they want. So it's anybody's guess what they've made the centre court or any of the courts, really. We can go through what normally happens at this tournament. It averages 32% underdog winners, the best round being round one at 37%. That's kind of average, really. The 37% is pretty good. 32% is pretty much bang average for the tour as a whole. And if you just bet every underdog for $10 in the last 9 editions, you'd actually be down by $220. So it's not as big of an underdog winners tournament as you might think, given where it is in the calendar. As far as the trends are concerned, Novak Djokovic is the only number one seed to have won this tournament, and he's done it 5 times since Andre Agassi did it in 1999. So no other number one seed other than Djokovic has won it this century. That said, 5 of the last 6 winners were priced between 3-1 and 12-1. Kind of quite short prices, but 3 of the last 6 losing finalists were priced between 60 to 1 and 150 to 1. So there's certainly value to be had in finding an each way pick. You can bet obviously each way with Bet Rivers. So that's that's what I'm tasked with doing this week, given that it's Sinner and Alcaraz in town.
If we look at the previous winners, we said Zverev on it last year, 23, Djokovic 22, Holger Rune, Djokovic again in 21, Medvedev 2019, Djokovic, and in 2018, Karim Khachanov. So it has been dominated by the best players, and usually dominated by Novak Djokovic, as Sean says. No Novak Djokovic this year, but Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz are competing in Paris. The other thing you've got to probably take into account a little bit, I've been saying it was a lot as we go into these final weeks of the season, is the race for Turin. 4 people guaranteed to the Tour End Championships already: Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, Novak Djokovic, and Zverev. Fritz Shelton, Alex de Minaur, Lorenzo Musetti, and Felix Auger-Aliassime, and probably Casper Ruud as well, potentially, have still got a mathematical chance of making the Tour End Championship. So I think it's a bit too much for Medvedev, but those have still got a chance of doing it. So there may be a little bit of motivation for those players who need to go through. We saw in the women's draw today, I mean, I bet Rybakina to win the tournament, she needed to get to the semi-finals to guarantee her place in the Tour End Championship. She got to the semi-finals and then withdrew from the tournament. How's your luck?
That
Typical.
is something that has happened a lot, actually. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I seem to remember, was it Djokovic or somebody did that? Once they'd achieved it was Djokovic, wasn't it? They'd achieved the exact amount of points they needed. I think in his case, it was to end the year world number 1 or something like that, and he withdrew from the next match. Yeah, that does happen. But talking about how's your luck, I mean, how many withdrawals were there in Basel and Vienna last week? It's about, 5 or 6? We had another one, didn't we?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Jakub Menchik, who's also withdrawn from, although he's on this graphic, he has actually withdrawn from this tournament as well. So whoever I'm picking here, they better bring their physio with them, because I've been a bit of a curse this year on.
I think that's a point to make. I mean, if we always, transparency is our key selling point, our USP on this channel. And obviously the show isn't having a great year, and not a lot of our shows are actually doing very well this year. But 20 points of those are big players who have been
easily
withdrawn from tournaments during the tournament or as the tournament started. So we've lost on retirements. That's the difference between a winning year and a losing year. But I'm still confident that in the last few weeks we can turn that around anyway. But we are transparent, as we say on the channel. That's something that we always do. Let's have a look at the all-important draw. Let's have a look at the draw. Number 1 seed, Carlos Alcaraz, he's got a bye. The top 8 seeds have a bye through to round 2, but we've got Carlos Alcaraz in there. We have Casper. I think the draw's changed from the last time I've got here, actually.
Has it?
Let's have a look here. No, it isn't. I've got it. This is the latest one.
Okay,
so Carlos Alcaraz, there's 16 players seeded in the draw. If it goes to the seedings, the last 16 will look something like this. Alcaraz will play Lehechka, although Lehechka is playing the Vachereau in round number 1, which is going to be an interesting match for him. Felix Auger-Aliassime obviously needs to do well here. He will play Casper Ruud. The 2 of them will be a showdown there to see, whoever gets beaten that round, if it gets to the last 16, is out of the chance to qualify.
They both withdrew
Tour
from Basel injured, didn't they?
Yep. So what they going to be? Taylor Fritz will play Bublik. Khachanov will play Alex de Minaur. That is the top half of the draw. The bottom half of the draw sees Musetti up against Medvedev. Davidovich Fokina, who's in good form at the moment, and he's doing well currently against Alexander Zverev. Ben Shelton will play Andrei Rublev, and Jannik Sinner doesn't have a seed to play. He'll probably play Cerundolo if he gets that far. Favourable draw for, I suppose, when you've got Alcaraz and Sinner, there's no real advantage of a top half or a bottom half, and that is clear in the outright betting. Just have a look at this outright betting. If you ever took tennis has become a 2-man event. This shows you the highlight of men's tennis at this moment in time. Jannik Sinner is even money to win it. Carlos Alcaraz is plus 130. Then it's any price you want, the rest of them. So that equates to a 93% chance that either Sinner or Alcaraz will win this tournament. That is where we are, and that's the kind of challenge we have to do. We've got to get these 2 beat and try to find someone who can capably maybe do it, and even just basically get to the finals to try to get some each way value. But they've got to get past one of these anyway. So it's hard. It's hard. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying it as it is. I'm not saying, but it's hard. But it is hard. Unless you're going to go with Sinner or Alcaraz, it's very difficult.
It's hard, and it doesn't. If you do pick a guy and then he gets to the quarterfinals, then he withdraws injured. Which has happened. Getting on for 20 times this year, it's at least 15, probably more like 18, 19 times that's happened, which is absolutely astonishing. I've never known anything like that in my 20-odd years of doing this. I've had maybe, at worst, a handful in a calendar year. but like 18, 19, 20 is absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, there's always angles to oppose these guys in not necessarily in Grand Slams. That's a different sort of story, but in these Masters 1000, particularly this one at the end of the year, if you look at their combined record here, it's 6 wins and 6 losses, Alcaraz and Sinner combined. Alcaraz has won 5, lost 4 here. Best finish is 1 quarter-final. Sinner's played 3 matches here and lost 2 of them. So it's not like these two are absolute certs because of the tournament and where it is in the calendar. Yeah, they're obviously massive favourites to win any tournament that they enter, but this one is a little bit different, because Alcaraz has still got Davis Cup to do. Sinner's got Sinner's pulled out of Davis Cup. He's obviously got the tour finals in his home country. He's still playing in Vienna. Yeah. So you've got to think that of all the Masters series, this is the one which is a realistic chance of maybe they won't complete. Or I mean, last year, I think Alcaraz lost to Humbert last year. And he has struggled here when it's been really, really quick. Again, we don't know the conditions. That isn't really helping either. So I've got to find a 7% chance that A, is able to stay fit, and B, suits the conditions, which we don't know what they are. So it's
tough.
It's not easy, is it? So I've got a couple that are absolutely massive prices that I think have got, a decent chance of doing something. Do you want to go through the odds first? Or
yeah, I mean, I think this is obviously, I mean, Sinner's got, he's got a final. It'd be a tough final as well. I mean, he's had nothing at the moment. Sinner's tough, but he's got to play either Musetti or Zverev in the final in Vienna, which is not ideal preparation. And then he's got to come here. I think you're right. If you're going to get one of these two, a tournament where these two could get beat, this could be the one. I might actually fade the pair of them and try and have the whole field running for me at something like 6-1 or something, because
why not?
Just got to feed in. Yeah, this could be the one after a long season. But they're not easing up. Their levels seem to be getting better, and the gap between the two of them seems to be getting stronger. So what do you got for us anyway? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Well, we've got some big prices. Let's try and see if we can hit a nice big price.
We've got some huge prices here. I mean, I looked at these a little while ago, and they're massive. Some of these prices, and I think that just tells you how far ahead Sinner and Alcaraz are of the rest. Once you've got past the sort of first 5 or 6 or whatever, it's any price you like, isn't it? And this tournament does throw up some surprises. I remember I had Jack Sock to win here 80-1 about 8 years ago. It does come up with some quite surprising results. So I've taken basically one in the top half and one in the bottom half on the basis that one of these, Sinner or Alcaraz, hopefully will not last the distance. The top half, I'm taking Karen Khachanov, who's in shocking form, which is why I think he's 250-1, which is a huge price on a player who's got a fabulous record here. I know the tournament's moved from Bercy to La Défense, but it's the same tournament, same city. He's going to get the same vibe coming back to a tournament he's done so well at. He's got Benjamin Bonzi in the first round, who I'm reliably informed is not even close to being fit. I understand Bonzi's withdrawn from the doubles. I think he was supposed to be playing with Mahou. Dimitrov's playing with Mahou now. Bonzi apparently not fit at all. Not certainty for the Davis Cup by any means. So he should be winning that, Khachanov, because he's on a poor run. And what you want with someone who's on a poor run, he's got to get past that first round. And this looks a good one for him. Bonzi's got a shocking record here anyway, by the way, apart from the injury. So if he gets through that, he'll start thinking, okay, back in Paris, let's get on with it. In his section, de Minaur, again, we're coming back to conditions. If they're as fast as they were last year, you would like Khachanov's chances in this section. Fritz looks exhausted. The other interesting one is Atman, by the way, in this section. He'll be a massive price as well. He could be one for the shortlist at an absolutely huge price. But there's nobody in this sort of Q2 that you'd be massively worried about. I mean, Fritz, as I say, looks at the end of his tether, and he's pretty much already qualified for the Tour Finals. He doesn't need to do that much. He may get beat by Atman, as he did. I feel like it was Cincy or somewhere. Atman beat Fritz relatively recently. Moutet's played an absolute ton of tennis. Bublik I'll talk about in a minute. There's nothing that exciting in Q2. And Khachanov, he should have tons of gas left in the tank. This time last year, he won Almaty. Then he made the final a week later in Vienna. Then he made the semi-finals here, back-to-back, 3 weeks. This time around, he's played virtually no tennis. So he's got a lot of energy left. He's done virtually nothing since the US Open, so he'll have gas in the tank. If it's quick, it will be very interesting indeed. If it is quick conditions, I like his chances at 250 to 1 of at least coming through that quarter, and then you have to hope that somebody does something against Alcaraz in Q1, or Alcaraz isn't at it, and a little bit below par. That's kind of what you got to do. In the bottom half, I'm going to take a chance on Ugo Humbert, who made the final here last year. Again, 250 to 1 is a huge price. I know he's played a lot in recent weeks, but if you look at the season he's had overall, he hasn't played much at all. He's only played 45 matches this season, Ugo Humbert, versus 63 that he'd played last year. So he's played far fewer matches coming into this Paris than he had a year ago, and he still made the final last year. Okay, he could barely walk in the final against Zverev, but he still made the final, beat Alcaraz. Home Masters, obviously loves it here. He's got loads of points to defend from that run to the final last year. Needs it quick. Again, I don't know what the conditions are like. You would think if the French Tennis Federation are interested in backing their players, they would make it quick for these guys. And looking at his draw, I think he's in Q3 here. Again, Musetti and Zverev, who are still playing in Vienna. Musetti must be at the absolute end of his gas by now. He must be absolutely exhausted because he's so desperate to make Turin. I think he probably won't have to do much in Paris, given that he has gone so well in Vienna. I think he's all right. Medvedev is kind of in and out. Obviously, last week a bit disappointing in Vienna against Munar. Again, I'll talk about him again in a minute. But there isn't that much in that section that should worry Ugo Humbert. And all right, he's got Davidovich Fokina in the first match, but he should be winning that in his home Masters against Davidovich Fokina if the court is a reasonable pace. Shelton's coming back from moving on to Q4. Shelton's coming back from an injury. We bet him to lose against Munar a couple of days ago, and Munar beat him pretty comfortably. We said before that match, he's just feeling his way back after that shoulder injury. So it's a big ask for him to do much this week. Rublev's absolutely nowhere. He's trying to find, I think he said recently, he's trying to find a way to move on in his game. Like I've been saying about him for years, he doesn't have that net game, that transition game that you do need if you want to break into that top 4 or 5. Rublev's never been one to do that. It looks to me like he's perhaps trying to do that now and saying, he has said, I'm not interested in results at the minute. I'm just following a process and trying to get to a stage where I'm not just a Grand Slam quarter finalist. So he's a work in progress. Would be surprised if he did that much. Mensic's just pulled out. And then obviously you've got Sinner, who we don't know what condition he's going to be in because he's still playing in Vienna. So, yeah, I think there's as much as you can make a good case for a couple of 250 to 1 shots. I think they've got a better chance than those odds would suggest.
There's a couple of massive prices there. Wouldn't it be lovely just to hit one of those, even in a place, get them to the final? Yeah. Ugo Humbert does start off with a tricky match though against Davidovich Fokina, who he's obviously playing in the semi-finals right now as we speak. Yes, so he's obviously got a tough match to open up. But if he opens up with a crowd behind him, all those school kids can get behind those players. I'm sure going to make him motivation. But he's a big
I'll
price.
Get behind him, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you've got to look. I mean, there's going to be a lot of support from there, obviously, and at 250 to 1 is well worth a little shot. So there are two massive outsiders. And don't want to sound like a broken record here, but it's very, very tough at the moment with the draws and with the players that we have here with the Jannik
and all the injuries, of course,
and not knowing the conditions. Well, there you
go.
We're having a go. Anyway, we have some matches. We do know a little bit more about the matches. We do know a little bit more about these players, and I was going through some breakdowns of our results this year and looking at some players. And Jaume obviously won again for us. And was it on Thursday? Wasn't he? Won for us on Thursday? Yeah, against Ben Shelton. He's been our most profitable player this year of all the players that we've bet. Jaume.
Yeah, so doesn't surprise me. He's basically changed. He's flipped the script kind of on its head, hasn't he? From being a kind of solid, very, very solid, tough, durable clay courter to a guy who's really, really effective on quicker courts, playing some much better attacking tennis, serving bigger. And if you can find that sort of trend, as I managed to do with Munar, then you often get times when he's just been priced on what he was rather than what he is.
I've got a feeling he might be our bet again today. He's up against Daniil Medvedev, who's minus 305. Jaume Munar is plus 230. Spread 3.5 here. Total 22.5. There is a load of different markets available on the Wet Rivers website and on the app, and you'll be able to live stream the match if you place a wager. So you can watch live and bet live with Bet Rivers. Head-to-head is in the Spaniard's favour. He leads 1-0, and that was this year in Miami. In quick conditions, he won very easy, 6-2, 6-3. Medvedev got beat in the round of 16 in Vienna. Poor performance against Mute. And Munar did a good run, went to the semi-finals in Basel when he ran into an in-form João Fonseca. Plus 230 here is probably a price that's shown that doesn't look right compared to what these two have been playing in recent weeks.
Yeah, it looks slightly generous, not as generous as it was before. He was plus 372 ahead of that Miami match, which was obviously a very nice price. I didn't bet that, I don't recall having that one. Yeah, I mean, it looks another tough one for Medvedev, just because the way he's played recently against the sort of very durable, very solid, very consistent, almost grinding style of opponent. He's found it very, very difficult to break them down. I mean, the list of guys that he's lost to recently, obviously Corentin Moutet's beat him a couple of times, Lerner Tien, Cam Norrie, I know they're all left-handers, but they're still very, very much kind of the physical type of player where you play a lot of long rallies. Alex de Minaur beat him as well recently. Obviously Munar as well in Miami. So he's lost to all those guys. And he's been very close against a few others as well that have played that style. He's just about managed to kind of get over the line. Just doesn't seem to have that firepower just that he had in previous years, Medvedev. I don't know whether it's just because the conditions are getting slower and it's more difficult for him to play his style of tennis. That's a possibility. He complained, as he always does, in Miami about the balls being really slow because it was a quite quickish court in Miami, and Mensik won that, didn't he? Mensik served his way to the title there, so it can't have been that slow. But Medvedev was moaning about a slow balls back condition that supposedly he had, but Munar absolutely took him apart, 119-81. In terms of service points won and return points won totals of that match. Jaume Munar winning 68% on second serve compared to just 46% for Medvedev. Munar 100% holds of serve against Medvedev 65%. As I said, Medvedev did complain of a back injury afterwards, but I think he's just a lot happier counter-punching against players that will attack him rather than these solid guys that just make him hit ball after ball after ball. I think it's just harder for him these days than it was a few years ago. And if you just look on just basic statistics of this season on hard courts, hard and indoor, hard at main level, there's not much between them at all. Munar, 64% win rate and a service points won and return points won total of 105. Medvedev, 65% win rate and a total of 107. So there isn't much between them. There isn't enough between them to suggest that Medvedev should be minus 305 to win this match. Munar's obviously in form, confident. His season isn't finished. As I said, he's got the Davis Cup to play for as well, so he can put it in. He's just lost in Basel. It's not a million miles, is it, to Paris? It'll be okay, I'm sure. Very fit guy, and Medvedev hasn't actually won a match at this event since he made back-to-back finals in 2020 and 2021. Hasn't won a match here since. So I think the sensible bet here is Munar plus 3.5 games on that handicap. Minus 118, I think that is a Bet Rivers. That's where I'm going to go with this one. It's a bit more of a circumspect bet. It might be tough to expect him to win it, given everything he's done in Basel as well. But I think on the handicap, I think it'll be pretty close to Daniil Medvedev here.
So, Munar on the handicap. You might want to take the money line at plus 230. Remember, these matches, we do not know the start times. We do know the start times. They start at 6 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning. So you have plenty of time. We do know how to order a play. Our second match sees the young Frenchman Mpetshi Perricard, the guy with the biggest serve in the game. He's up against Grigor Dimitrov, who is making his reappearance of the tour since he had that terrible, unfortunate incident where he lost to Jannik Sinner with an injury to retire from an injury in that terrible match at Wimbledon in the round of 16, where he had Sinner beat, I think, on that match. He's making his appearance, and he's probably thinking to himself, I wouldn't mind. I don't really want to play a Frenchman in France. I don't really fancy someone with a big serve. I fancy having it quite nice. Well, he's been drawn against Mpetshi Perricard. We don't know the court speed, which makes a huge relevance into this match, I'm going to presume. But Mpetshi Perricard is the favourite. It's minus 137, plus 110 for Grigor Dimitrov. Spread 1.5 total. Here is high at 24.5. There's about 50 odd different markets available with Bet Rivers, and there'll be more added to it. So, I suppose it's, even though he's had 3-4 months, he's 5 months off now, isn't he? Almost 5 months off now, 4.5 months. He'd probably be the fittest player in the tournament, Dimitrov.
He probably will. I mean, I'm just looking at the current odds in a minute. I'll come back to that in a second. Just bear with me. I'll have to do that in a second. I mean, it's great to see him back, isn't it, Grigor Dimitrov, after that injury that he had when he was beating Sinner. It's been a long time off for him. Now without Jamie Delgado, who he was working with for a long time as coach. Delgado's moved over to the Jack Draper camp. I can kind of see why Grigor's playing this, because if he wants to get back into the top 32, he's going to need a decent little run here. He's number 37 right now, so he's going to have to win a few matches, 3 or 4 matches maybe, and hope the guys ahead of him, don't do that. It's more than possible for him to do that, certainly on his best form. It just looks so likely to be set one over as this, assuming that Dimitrov is fully ready, and I'm assuming that he is, because he's also playing doubles here. As I said, he's playing it with Nicolas Mahut, and it's Mahut's last tournament, so Dimitrov is not going to be pulling out of that, giving Mahut's last tournament a real low point, not even playing or whatever. So the fact that he signed up for the doubles as well is very positive. I just couldn't believe the price on this, about a set one tiebreak. It was just much bigger than I thought, and than what the stats would suggest. I'm trying to find it here. Actually, it was 2.75. The price I saw about set one tiebreak here, which just seems massive to me. If you look at what Mpetši's done in his 5 matches indoors, this indoor swing, 98.3% holds the serve, 81% first serve points won, 1.56 aces per game, 23% of return points won, and 60% of the sets that he's played have been tiebreaks. 60% would equate to odds of 1.67 or minus 150. And if you get into 2.75, that just seems all sorts of generous. And given also, it's not just about Mpetshi. Dimitrov is a very strong server. If you look at what he's done in his last 10 matches against the big servers in my database, 55% of those sets have been tie breaks. He's outserved 94% of the time, and he's only broken 10% of the time. So this looks about as certainty of a set one tiebreak as you're going to get. We don't know the conditions, which is a bit of a negative, I suppose. But even I can't imagine they would make it slow enough for this not to be a tiebreak. It just seems very, very generous to me. If it's plus that's a 2.75 plus 175, that's still there. That just seems it wouldn't seem generous for a lot of players. But Mpetshi Perricard indoors against Dimitrov, it just looks very generous to me.
Yeah, you could also play over 10.5 as well if you wanted to get involved in that, which also looks a decent price as well with Bet Rivers. They got that on the special market. Just forward the toggle along, and you'll see all the different number of match their total games in set number 1 as well for that. Remember, if you do like what you're hearing on the show, or there's plenty more from the team here at Because We Win, you can subscribe to our newsletter and our Insider. The newsletter will be dropping in your inbox on Monday morning for subscribers, and on Friday the Insider will drop with the preview for the weekend action. And you can do that by subscribing for free at thebettingweeklystudios.com. Okay, let's move on to our penultimate match over in Paris. And this one we are looking at Alexei Popyrin against Alexander Bublik. Bublik is minus 230 to win this match. Alexei Popyrin is not in a great form, hasn't won a match indoors yet this season. Plus 180, spread 2.5, total 23.5, set betting and set overs as well as a whole host of other special markets and props with Bet Rivers. When we look at this market here, I just see there is a bit of head-to-head record as well. We've got 5 matches between the two of them. They've played 5 times. One of them was in the Challenger back in 2018. Hardly any relevance to that. But 4-1, Alexei Popyrin leads on the head-to-head. But Bublik did win their last match, which was 6-4, 7-6 in Madrid. Are we paying any relevance to the head-to-head, or are we just going with current form, which makes Bublik a good thing?
Do you reckon I'm going to be betting Bublik at -230?
No. I know. And as soon as I said that question, I thought, why have I even asked that question? It's just a complete waste of time. Why? What's the case for Popyrin, Sean? That's what I should have said.
I've only got 4 matches here, actually, so I'm guessing you've got an extra one somewhere.
I know it was a Challenger event in 2018.
I've got that one.
Have you?
Yeah.
I've got one in the Boodles Tennis Championship.
Oh, it's that one I haven't got then. Yeah, that's an exhibition.
Yeah,
I haven't got that one. Popyrin won that as well, did he?
7-6, 6-4.
Yeah, okay. I mean, Popyrin's not normally the best on grass, so that's, even better for what I'm going to say there. I mean, there's a few reasons for this to think plus 180 is quite a decent price and worth taking a chance on for me with Alexei Popyrin here. The main one, or one of the main ones, is that he comes alive at Masters 1000 level, does Alexei Popyrin. Beat Berrettini and Medvedev here last year. He's actually won 18 of his last 28 matches at Masters 1000 level. There aren't many players with that sort of record. His 64% win rate in his last 28 matches at Masters 1000 level in the main draw. And if you just look at matches on hard courts, take out the clay, he's won 16 of his last 24 on hard courts at Masters 1000 level. That's a 67% win rate. Now the odds are saying he's got about probably less than 40% chance of winning this particular match. And it's not against just anybody. It's against Bublik, who he's beaten. Well, I've got 3 times out of 4 written here, but I suppose you count the Boodles thing, 4 out of 5. I can't imagine Bublik was too committed to a sort of grass court exhibition. But anyway, the main level matches that he's played, or including the Challenger, the head-to-head series, 107-93 in favour of Alexei Popyrin. Popyrin winning 42% of return points in this matchup, which is huge, given how big Bublik serves. You wouldn't expect Popyrin to win 42% of return points. I mean, all right, one of them matches was played on clay, but it was clay in Madrid at altitude, and Bublik won that one anyway. So it's been a good matchup for him, clearly. Bublik is, I was hoping that he might throw a kind of tanky one in last week in Vienna. He didn't really do that, but here again, not the greatest of records. He's never got past the last 16 at this tournament. He's won 4, lost 5 here, so his record is not that great. If you look at his statistics here, Bublik 44% win rate and a service points won and return points won total of just 94. Popyrin 57% win rate here and a total of 99. So a lot of the statistics are suggesting that Popyrin's got a decent chance here. Current form is obviously the reason why Bublik is -230. I mean, Bublik can't qualify for the tour finals now unless some miracle happens. Basically, he's got to win this tournament and hope that Djokovic or somebody else pulls out, which doesn't seem very likely. And it seems even less likely given that Bublik's only ever made 2 quarterfinals at Masters 1000 level. Popyrin is a guy that absolutely comes alive. Don't know why. He just comes alive during Masters 1000s. And I'm more than happy to take a chance at plus 180 that he comes alive again here.
Money line, straight in on the money line. Alexei Popyrin, plus 180. Brilliant record on the 1000s, and he is it's official play. So we've got 3 official plays, or 2. We got 3 official plays
so far, yeah.
We've got 3. And let's go on to our final one to see if we can get a full house of official plays. Alex Michelsen up against Zizou Bergs. Michelsen is -132. The young American. Bergs is plus 106. 1.5 is the spread. 23.5 is the total here. I need to get my glasses on. My eyes are playing me up at my old age.
I can't see that either, actually.
We look at their head-to-head record. It's overwhelmingly in favour for the American. They've bet twice before, both last year, and both wins for Michelsen, including a very easy 6-1, 6-2 win in Winston-Salem. Bergs got to the quarterfinals in Shanghai, got beat by Novak Djokovic, played good tennis in that tournament. Michelsen got to the semi-finals in Almaty, where he got beat by Mute, and obviously, understandably, the following week in Vienna, after that travelling, he got beat by Cerundolo. And the same can be said for Bergs, really. Colin beat him in his last match after he got to that deep run in Shanghai. So this one is an interesting one. It's quite close in the betting. How do we see this one going?
Yeah, I'm tempted with Zizou Bergs here, plus 106. It was a tired performance from Michelsen, from Alex Michelsen in Vienna. And I just feel like Bergs is probably a little bit fresher here and quite likely to be slightly more motivated. Michelsen withdrew from the doubles in Vienna after he lost his singles with a wrist injury. So, you wouldn't think in the last tournament of the year. It's not a tournament where I tend to fancy many Americans anyway. A lot of them are just thinking, like, let's just let me go home. You know, the likes of Nakashima, he's never won a match here. Gear on these guys that they've had it unless they've got something definite to play for. Michelsen, you could argue, has got the top 32 to play for. That's a possibility. But with a wrist injury, you wouldn't have thought it'd be that keen on really pushing the boat out here. And Bergs has been playing probably the best tennis of his season in recent times. He was tired in Brussels when we did bet Colony on as underdog to beat him, and he did look very, very tired there. But he's had almost 2 weeks off now, Bergs, and he's still got a season in play, if you like. He's still got the Davis Cup to think about and to prepare for and to look forward to. And he's going to want to beat Michelsen here. You know, Ben Shelton always says, you know, if the same player beats you 3 times in a row, he's your bunny. And Michelsen's done it twice now, 2-0. And both wins, perhaps tellingly, both wins for Michelsen came on home soil in the US when Bergs was struggling for form. Now we're in a different scenario. Bergs is at home in Europe. Michelsen probably wants to go home to the US, I should think. And if you look at recent statistics, just the last 1 month at main level, it's certainly Bergs that's got the better numbers, and he's played some good players as well, Bergs. And he's got a 63% win rate and a service points won and return points won total of 102 in the last month. Michelsen, 43% win rate and a total of 99.5. So current form, current statistics anyway, in favour of Zizou, Bergs. And the only reason it stops from making this official pick is that Michelsen, as I said, can get into the top 32. That might be motivation for him. I'm not sure. I just feel like Bergs' motivation will probably be a little bit stronger given that he's got that Davis Cup and he does not want to get beat 3 times by the same guy. So, yeah, I'd be going with Bergs here.
Yep, Bergs, not official play, but almost an official play, plus 106. We didn't get quite the full house. We've got 3 official plays for the first round in Paris, and the action starts, as I say, Monday morning, nice and early. It's a 6 a.m. start. Actually, saying that, the clock's going back here.
Is it clocks? I don't know when
it's early morning. Just double check. Make sure you get on early. Double check. It's confusing enough without the clocks going back, which will always make me go crazy. But anyway, make sure you go to Ritter's website to find out what time the action starts. You've got the outright markets there. We've got 2 monster picks and 3 bets for you as well on the matches. Sean, just give us a little bit of a recap of what we've got for us in Paris.
Yes. So as far as the outrights are concerned, we're taking 2 huge prices. 2 guys at 250 to 1 each way, and those guys are Ugo Humbert and Karen Khachanov, half a point each way on both of those guys, 250 to 1. As far as the match bets are concerned, Jaume Munar plus 3.5 games to beat Medvedev minus 118, and the Mpetshi Perricard against Dimitrov set 1 overs. That's plus 138. I've just looked at, actually. That's the price I've got at the minute. Plus 138 is still generous compared to, when you look at the statistics. So set 1 over 12.5 games, or set 1 tiebreak, whichever market it's listed as, the same thing. Plus 138, and Popyrin to beat a Bublik, which I believe is plus 180 with Bet Rivers.
Sean and I will be back on Tuesday and Wednesday. Sean will be in Paris. You can follow him on our socials at Because We Win. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Give us a like. Give us a comment. And also, please subscribe to the newsletter. BettingWeeklyStudios.com is where you need to go. Lots of action this week. We have the Betting Weekly football, soccer coverage all the way across the board. Lots of action stateside as well with Doug Kazarian and Mike Carr on Betting Weekly Live stateside, as well as Betting Weekly Tennis Live Monday through to Wednesday as well. I would say what time it is, but I'm confusing myself because of the clock's changing. I think it's 1 o'clock still because it comes earlier here.
Do they change in America?
Paris, I don't know. They don't change. We change, so it will be 1 o'clock. So be careful of the clocks. Don't miss your flight. Make sure
it's an early one as well. Right? It's a really early flight back.
Exactly. So it's it for today. And look, best of luck for the bets. Safe travels to Paris, Sean, and we'll follow your adventures on our socials, as I say, at Because We Win. That's it for today. Good luck with your bets in Paris, and we'll speak to you all again on Tuesday.